Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, there was a guy named Jake. He wasn't lazy, he wasn't dumb, he was just stuck. Every New Year's, he made the same promises to himself. This year, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. Or, I'm finally going to wake up at 5 a.m. and start a business. He'd last maybe a week, sometimes 2, but then life would catch up. Work stress, late nights, that slice of pizza staring at him after a long day. And the cycle would start again. One day, Jake did something different. He stopped trying to become someone new overnight. He picked one small habit. Just one. Drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning. That's it. No gym. No 10-step routine. No big pressure. But that tiny shift started something. Over the next few weeks, the glass of water turned into a short walk. Then 5 minutes of journaling. Then packing healthier snacks. 6 months later, Jake had lost 15 pounds, started sleeping better, and finally felt in control again. Not because he had more motivation, but because he learned how habits actually work. Now, you might be thinking, seriously? A glass of water changed everything? But that's the magic of small habits. They look boring on the outside, but over time, they shape who we become. And that's exactly what this video is about. We're breaking down the best-selling book Atomic Habits by James Clear, chapter by chapter, idea by idea, but not in a boring book review kind of way. We're going to look at why tiny changes matter, how habits shape your identity, and what you can do today, without needing willpower or motivation, to finally build habits that stick. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with a simple system that's been used by Olympic athletes, top CEOs, and regular people just like Jake. And maybe you. Let me paint you 2 pictures. First, meet Sarah, a regular 29-year-old working in marketing. A few years ago, she decided to make one small change. Just read 10 pages of a book every night before bed. No big deal, right? That's like 15 minutes tops. But here's what happened. After a few weeks, she got curious and picked up books on business, psychology, health. A few months in, her mindset started shifting. She wasn't reacting to life anymore. She was designing it. She started waking up a bit earlier, built a tiny morning routine, took better care of her sleep, and even got promoted a year later. Not because she worked more hours, but because she thought more clearly and led with confidence. All from 10 pages a night. Now here's the second picture. Same city, different person. Mark, same age, same kind of job. But his tiny habit looked a little different. Every evening, after work, he'd say, "I deserve a break," and sink into the couch with his phone. TikTok, YouTube, scroll, just 15 minutes, then 30, then dinner, then one more episode. He still told himself, tomorrow I'll be more productive. But tomorrow kept slipping. He started sleeping later. Morning alarms were snoozed more often. His diet got lazier, his energy dipped, and 2 years later, he didn't recognize the guy in the mirror. And here's the thing. Neither Sarah nor Mark made a huge leap. It was 1% a day. Tiny shifts in different directions. But after a year, Sarah was 37 times better. Mark? Not just stuck, he was sliding backward. This is what James Clear calls the power of compound growth. If you improve by just 1% every day, you won't even notice it at first. It's like saving $1 a day. Seems pointless until you look at your account a year later. Same goes for habits. One push-up today won't change your body, but a year of consistent effort, whole new person. But the opposite is just as powerful. 1% worse every day. Skipping workouts, eating junk, saying, "I'll do it tomorrow." It adds up too. Only this time, it doesn't build, it erodes. The truth is, success and failure don't happen suddenly. They're the result of tiny choices, stacked day after day, like bricks in a wall. And the good news? You get to choose which wall you're building. So now the question isn't, how do I change my life overnight? It's, what's my 1% today? Let's talk about how goals can actually get in the way, and why systems are where the real magic happens. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever set a big goal, got super motivated, maybe even made a vision board, but still ended up in the same place a few weeks later? Don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, there's a reason this keeps happening, and it has nothing to do with how disciplined or smart you are. It's because goals don't work the way we think they do. Let's take an example. Imagine 4 friends all decide to run a marathon. They each write it down. Run 26.2 miles by next year. Great goal, right? But here's the twist. Only one of them actually finishes the race. Why? They all had the same goal. The difference wasn't the destination. It was the system they followed. James Clear makes this crystal clear, no pun intended. He says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." Let that sink in for a second. Here's what he means. A goal is the result you want. A system is the process that gets you there. Want to lose weight? That's a goal. But going for a 20-minute walk after dinner every day, that's a system. Want to become a better writer? Goal. But writing 500 words each morning before checking your phone, that's a system. Want to grow a YouTube channel? Same thing. Setting a goal for 100,000 subscribers is fine, but scheduling one high-quality video per week and improving 1% each time, that's the system that makes it happen. Here's the problem with only focusing on goals. They create a yo-yo effect. You achieve it, then fall off. They delay happiness. You tell yourself, "I'll be happy when..." And worst of all, they focus on outcomes, not identity. Think about it like this. A goal says, "I want to run a marathon." A system says, "I am a runner." Big difference. Let me share a quick story. There was a guy trying to quit smoking. Instead of saying, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit," he started saying, "No thanks, I don't smoke." That one line changed everything. Because now it wasn't about willpower, it was about identity. Systems are what shape your identity. And once your identity shifts, the habits become natural, automatic. They're no longer something you force, they're just who you are. So, if you're tired of setting goals and falling short, maybe it's time to stop asking, "What do I want to achieve?" and start asking, "Who do I want to become?" Because becoming the type of person who shows up consistently, even in small ways, is far more powerful than chasing a finish line. Up next, how exactly do you build habits that stick even on bad days? That's where the 4 laws of behavior change come in. And trust me, this is where the book gets really good. Alright, so now you get it. Small habits matter more than big goals. But here's the real question. How do you actually build a habit that sticks? Not just for a week, not just when life's going smooth, but every day, even when you're tired, stressed, or unmotivated. That's where James Clear introduces something powerful. The 4 laws of behavior change. This is the real formula. A step-by-step guide to making any good habit easy and any bad habit harder to fall into. Let's break them down, one by one, with real-life stories you'll probably relate to. Law 1. Make it obvious. If you don't see the cue, you won't take the action. It's that simple. Meet Amanda. She wanted to start flossing. Not a huge habit, right? But she'd always forget. One day, she just put the floss right next to her toothbrush, literally on top of the tube. Boom. No forgetting anymore. It was right in her face. Your environment shapes your behavior. Want to read more? Leave the book on your pillow. Want to work out? Put your gym shoes by the door. Make the habit impossible to ignore. Law 2. Make it attractive. Let's be honest. If a habit feels boring, you're going to ditch it. That's why James Clear suggests something called temptation bundling. It's simple. Pair something you need to do with something you want to do. There's this guy, Chris, who hated cardio, but he loved Netflix. So he made a rule. He could only watch his favorite shows while walking on the treadmill. No treadmill. No Netflix. He actually started looking forward to his workouts, not because of the exercise, but because of the show. Want to study more? Only drink your favorite coffee while studying. Want to journal? Put on your favorite playlist while doing it. Make it something you want to come back to. Law 3. Make it easy. This one's a game changer. Don't try to be perfect, try to be consistent. There's a story in the book about a photography class. Half the class was told, "You'll be graded on the quantity of photos you take." The other half, "You'll be graded on the quality of your best photo." Guess who ended up with the best photos? The quantity group. Because they took more shots, experimented more, failed more, and learned faster. The lesson? Just start. Do the easy version of the habit. Want to meditate? Start with 1 minute. Want to write? Just write 1 sentence. Make it so small it's impossible to skip. Once it's easy to start, it becomes easier to grow. Law 4. Make it satisfying. Here's the thing. Our brains are wired for instant reward. If it feels good, we want to repeat it. That's why bad habits stick. Junk food gives you a quick dopamine hit. Scrolling social media, same thing. So how do you make good habits satisfying? Track them. Celebrate them. Reward yourself in small ways. One guy started using a wall calendar. Every day he did his habit. He put a big red X. After a week, he had a chain. 2 weeks, it was growing. Now his only goal was, don't break the chain. It's simple, but it works. That little visual feedback tells your brain, hey, this feels good, let's keep going. So, quick recap. You want a habit to stick. Follow the formula. Make it obvious. Make it attractive. Make it easy. Make it satisfying. And here's the beauty of it. You can flip the same laws to break a bad habit. Make it invisible. Make it unattractive. Make it hard. And make it unsatisfying. Coming up next, the final part, the deeper layer that holds all of this together, identity. Why becoming the kind of person who does the habit is way more powerful than the habit itself. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever tried to change a habit and deep down felt like you were fighting against yourself? Like part of you wanted to improve, but another part of you was quietly whispering, this isn't really who you are. That whisper? That's identity. And according to James Clear, it's the most powerful force behind every habit. Most people think, I need to change my results, so I'll change my behavior. But there's a deeper layer we miss. Here's how it really works. Outcomes: what you get, lose weight, write a book. Processes: what you do, go to the gym, write daily. Identity: what you believe, I'm a healthy person, I'm a writer. Most people work from the outside in. But real change? It starts from the inside out. Here's a powerful example. Let's say you're offered a cigarette. One person says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. The other says, no thanks, I don't smoke. Same situation, but totally different identity. One is someone struggling with change. The other has become the change. James Clear puts it like this. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So, when you wake up early and go for a walk, you're casting a vote. I'm the kind of person who takes care of my body. When you sit down to read instead of scroll, you're saying, I'm a curious learner. When you write your goals or journal your thoughts, I'm someone who reflects and grows. And no, it doesn't take a landslide of votes. Even one small win a day counts. Habits are not just tasks. They are identity-shaping signals. Here's the best part. You don't need to believe fully before you begin. You become confident by doing. You become disciplined by showing up. You become the person by acting like them for one more day. Small habits are the proof that the old you is fading, proof that something new, something stronger, is taking root. So instead of asking, "What do I want to achieve?" start asking, "Who is the kind of person that achieves this? And what would that person do today?" That's the real secret of atomic habits. Not just change what you do, but change who you are, one small vote at a time. Let's bring it home. By now, you've seen the full picture. The power of tiny daily improvements. The math behind becoming 37 times better. The 4 laws of behavior change. And the most important piece of all, your identity. But here's the truth. None of this matters unless you act. Because knowledge is just potential power. Real power? That comes from doing something today that your future self will thank you for. So pause for a second. Forget next week. Forget next month. Ask yourself, what's one small habit I can do today for 2 minutes that moves me closer to who I want to become? Not someday. Now. Because this isn't just about brushing your teeth better or reading more books. This is about the kind of life you want to build. One small vote at a time. One tiny win at a time. One better choice at a time. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to change everything. You just need to show up, consistently, and cast a better vote. And guess what? By doing that, you're not just building a habit. You're building yourself. If this message hit home for you, share it with someone you care about. Drop a comment below with the one habit you're going to work on starting today. Let's make this more than a video. Let's make it a movement. Because your future isn't decided by big moments. It's decided by tiny actions, repeated daily. And that future? It starts now.